Welcome back, Automania. This is automotive for you. The newest automotive information just for you. What's a bagger anyway? I may not have been aware of the term as it applies to motorcycles until I saw a copy of baggers on the newsstand. Back when we had those newsstands, they really were the rage there for a while and maybe still are. I mean, what's better for the average Joe American motorcyclist than a hot rod Harley with integrated hard bags to transport your stuff in? A bike with a windshield you can go places on, but still be cool, man. Especially if you can crank up a little molly. Hatchet en route. Hot mamas in bikinis will be lining up to pose on your bike for photography. Baggers were really for people at the opposite socioeconomic end of the BMW crowd, but any niche that can support its own publications cannot be ignored. Harley-Davidson's Street Glide isn't just a bagger. It's also possibly the biggest selling big bike in America. Hence the K1600B. BMW never uses the word bagger, but I think one look is all we need to know what the B stands for here. Roland Sands helped build the Concept 101 a couple years ago to float the idea. Now, we ride the finished product. The 101 in Concept 101 is how many cubic inches there are in 1649 cubic centimeters, and it's that amazing, bodice-ripping inline-six that makes this bagger so unique. Not only does an inline-six offer perfect primary and secondary balance, for ethereal smoothness, that smoothness allows the 6 and the BMW to also be remarkably small. BMW says the whole unit, including clutch, gearbox, and alternator, weighs 226 pounds. And very narrow cylinder spacing has the whole thing just 21.9 inches wide, making it the lightest, slimmest 6, of over 1000 cc, ever produced for a motorcycle. You can feel it. With its 7-gallon tank filled up, BMW says the B weighs 741 pounds, 5 more than the K1600 GT. In 2014, our official Moscales had the GT as 732 pounds. The B's closest competitor might be the Boxer 6-powered Honda F6B, which Honda specs say weighs 844 pounds. Meanwhile, the HD Street Glide and Indian Chieftain Dark Horse that tied for first in last year's Baggers Brawl, weigh in at 830 and 831 pounds. For a thing this big, then, the Beamer Bagger is terribly light, which you can feel every time you lift it off the side stand. And though our dyno tells us BMW's 160 horsepower claim is a bit exaggerated, the 123.4 HP our last K1600 GT spat out to its rear wheel is more than enough to greatly overpower its bagger competition. Its 108 pound-feet of torque also stymies those big twins, even if the BMW's 6-cylinder has to spin to 5,000 revolutions per minute to achieve it. The engine in the B is supposedly identical to the ones in the K1600 GT and GTL. So even if the bagger design brief for most manufacturers is relaxed cruising, this bagger can do that, but it can also propel you from corner to corner on tight, twisty back roads, or fast-flowing ones, in a way that will leave most baggers sucking its clean Euro 4 emissions as it disappears over the horizon. Electronic suspension adjustment, standard on the B, has a cruise and a road setting. In cruise, you're riding on top of your own dark cloud. Soft and pillowy. A touch of the button gives you road, and immediately girds the ESA for whatever combination of speed and conditions you throw at it. Adjust your dynamic traction control to rain, road or dynamic. And that lean-sensitive system works with the lean-sensitive ABS brakes to ensure nothing could possibly go wrong as you carve up the Great Smoky Mountains in a way you wouldn't usually associate with bagger. shorter of wheelbase and trail than the HD and Indian Chieftain. It's got plenty of cornering clearance, very strong brakes, and an exhaust wail from its big duals that's more than a little addictive. Below 4,500 revolutions per minute or so, she's a bagger. At about 5,000 revolutions per minute she becomes a large sport bike, and up around 7,000 revolutions per minute, you're riding a snarling vintage race car missing a couple of wheels. The harder you ride, the firmer the ESA adjusts itself, in milliseconds, keeping both ends of the bike perfectly composed. The only thing keeping you from taking pole is an automatic shifter that requires too much pressure to downshift, but that's optional equipment anyway. I'm happy to give a big blip of the throttle and downshift in the time-honored way. The quick shifter does fire off nice full throttle upshifts, a nice function all other baggers have probably never even considered. For just toddling along, the B's not bad either. Basically, BMW re-engineered the subframe to lower the whole rear of the bike about 2.8 inches, and down with it came the seat, to 30.7 inches, low enough for my 30-inch legs to have an easy time flat-footing the bike, high enough that my legs never felt cramped. There's a low seat option too. There's a new steel handlebar clamped in the triples in just about the right spot, though with a slightly imperfect bend at the grips for my paws. If you don't like it, the cast bars on the GT and GTL are offered as a no-cost option. At least one guy on our ride complained about the seat being too firm. I thought it was fine, and we put in about 180 miles on the bike on day 1, not quite that much on day 2. Suspension set to cruise is like injecting Novocaine into your cheeks. In road mode, you feel all the bumps, but only the nastiest ones register. Electric adjustable windscreen? But of course, I raised mine about 3/4 of the way up the first morning and barely moved it again except to lower it all the way in the really sporty sections. At 3/4, I could see over it. But it diverted enough wind over my head that things were pretty quiet. Inside my full-face Schuberth, even with no earplugs. With them in, you could almost be in a car. Sound system, check. Not as powerful as the one in the Indian, but not bad. And as a BMW guy you'd use the Bluetooth connectivity to your helmet speakers anyway, and not waste your Rachmaninoff on the hoi polloi. Okay, that's all Automania. See you at the next automotive info, and thank you for watching. Automotive for You.